I'm Elizabeth at Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I have a PhD in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists, and as you might expect, I love to read. Today I am here to talk to you about my 2026 reading plans. So we are going to go through my goals and have a look at my beautiful spreadsheet because I love a spreadsheet. We will talk about my new project, the Elizabeth Gaskell project, and of course the 50 books that I want to read in 2026. So let's jump in. So we will start by having a look at my beautiful spreadsheet. There, everything is ready for me to start putting in the books that I've read, and my statistics are all ready to go. Obviously there's nothing here yet. What we're really looking at here is my 2026 reading goals with my beautifully color coordinated spreadsheet because I am a dork. So, so for the past, we have a cat. Hi. Say hi, Pippin. Do you have a reading goal? He says, my reading goal is to sit on mommy's lap on the couch while she reads and snuggle. So, goal number 1 is one that has been a goal for the past few years now. This, I think, will be year number 3. And that is to read 12 library books, which comes out to 1 a month, although it's like, I know there will be some months where I don't read any and other months where I have multiple from the library. So those books are not included in my 50 books. They are entirely separate. My second goal is to reread 12 books. So again, 1 per month, essentially. Now, only 5 of these are included in the 50 books just because space is a thing. And you know, 12 is a lot. So the little color break here that you see is these 5 are the ones that are included in the 50, and then the more reddish ones are just the rest of the 12. I want to read 12 works of Victorian literature, 9 other classics, which is a really weird number, but that is because there was literally a last-minute change yesterday to my reading plans, which we'll talk about when we get to it. Other fiction, 8. Fantasy, 8. Nonfiction, 5. Poetry, 3. So that's where the changes come in. So initially I did not have a poetry section this year. I had 10 other classics and I had 1 poetry collection included in there. And then I had 10 other reads, which was all fiction that I had picked out, but the idea was poetry could be put in there, hence why it wasn't other fiction, it was other reads. But I decided I didn't like not having a poetry section. So I bumped 2 off of the other reads category and turned it back into other fiction. And then I bumped that 1 poetry collection from other classics over to poetry, which is why there's the weird 9, which I don't like, but I'd rather have a poetry category. This is like, are you like, wow, I don't need to know any of this shit? Yeah, probably, but I do have 1 more category that is not included in the 50 books and that I don't have an actual goal for, and that is picture books. So every April I participate in Picture This, a readathon for picture books, hosted by Jack from Spread Bookjoy and Shelley Swearingen. So I read a few picture books. I don't really care how many I read. I just want to read some. I've put 3 spaces for it, but I don't have, Pippin, stop biting me. Rude. But yeah, I don't really have a specific number. I just wanted the spaces on there and to look pretty and color coordinated because I like color coordination. Can you tell? So those are the goals. Let's talk about the Elizabeth Gaskell project and then move into the 50 books, which technically, as we talk about the Elizabeth Gaskell project, we will be talking about some of those 50 books. So I've decided that my project for 2026 will be to read all of Elizabeth Gaskell's long fiction in publication order. What are we counting as long fiction? We are going according to the Elizabeth Gaskell Society's website. This project span over 2 of my categories. Victorian, obviously, and rereads, because I've already read several of hers. So we're gonna go through the Elizabeth Gaskell books first, and then we'll do the Victorians and the rereads and then everything else. So, coming up in January will be Elizabeth Gaskell's first novel, Mary Barton. This will be a reread for me. I don't remember it well though, so I very much want to I've been wanting to reread it because I straight up don't remember it. Let me go turn the heat off. They just replaced the motor in our HVAC unit, and now it is incredibly loud. That is so much better. So yeah, Mary Barton for January. In February, we have one that will be new to me, that I do not have yet, but it is on my Christmas list, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting it because I mark the ones that I really, really want with a star. And I'm like, if you can only get me 3 books, get me the starred ones. And that's what my mom does. So this is the Moorland Cottage, which I am getting the Victoria's Archives edition. I know nothing about it. Apparently it slightly influenced The Mill on the Floss, so that should be interesting. Hopefully it ends a lot happier than The Mill on the Floss. For March, it will be another reread. This is Ruth, a Fallen Woman story. Pippin trying to knock over the camera? Really? April is another new read. That is Cranford. I am so excited to read this. Everybody loves it so much, and I'm really hoping to love it too. Back to a reread, it's like switching off. My absolute favorite for May. North and South. This is one of my top Victorian books ever. I adore it. I've reread it multiple times, and rereading it again will be a delight. June, we have My Lady Ludlow, which I don't know much about, but again, another beautiful Victoria's Archives edition. July will be Sylvia's Lovers. This was actually on my 50 books to read for 2025, and I guess it was probably in September that I realized it wasn't going to happen, and I decided I was going to do the Elizabeth Gaskell project, so I was like, whatever. So this I've heard is really sad. August is another one that I don't have yet, but that I am hoping to buy myself. Hopefully getting a physical copy, but might have to just get an ebook copy. This is A Dark Night's Work. I know nothing about it. I think it's definitely one of her lesser known ones, obviously. September, another one on my Christmas list, Cousin Phyllis. So this Oxford edition is Cousin Phyllis and Other Stories. So while the main thing will be Cousin Phyllis, because that's the long piece in it, I probably will also read the rest of the stories and maybe talk about them a little bit at the end of the video. And finally, we will be ending very fittingly in October, Victober, with a reread of Wives and Daughters, her final novel that is technically unfinished by like 2 chapters. I am really excited to reread this. I almost reread this for Victober this past year, but didn't end up doing it. All right, so let's go through the remaining 6 of 12 in the Victorian category. First up, we have The Half-Sisters by Geraldine Dewsbury, which I have heard so many amazing things about and been assured by multiple people that I'm going to love. And I'm so excited to meet a new woman writer from the Victorian period. Continuing with something I started in 2025 is reading a Dickens for March of the Mammoths, and for 2026 it will be Little Dorrit. Look at it, it's so large. I'm really excited for this because again, I've heard that it's so good. Next up, Man and Wife by Wilkie Collins. I did not read a Wilkie Collins book in 2025, but I did read No Name in 2024 and really loved it, and I'm so excited to continue on with him. My Girl Margaret Oliphant with Adam Graham, another beautiful Victoria's Archives edition. This is one of her very early novels, and I think it's a Scottish story, yes. I don't know much about it other than that, but I'm excited to check it out because I do want to read all of her novels. One that is going to count for my project of reading a book for every Victorian year. I think Man and Wife does as well. This is The Making of a Marchioness by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I think this technically has 2 books in it. The first of which is Victorian and the second of which is not. I'm probably just going to count them as one because they are both in here. And it doesn't like seem to differentiate, so. This is a beautiful Persephone edition that I bought to celebrate finishing one of my chapters, and I'm so excited to read it. I've been wanting to read this for a really long time. And finally, we have The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James, which I think also counts for my reading a book for every Victorian year. Am I going to be finishing that in 2026? Probably not, but I'm getting there. Very excited to reread this. It's another one that I almost picked up this Victober and then just didn't. And then the remaining one in the reread category is actually also Victorian, so this worked really well. That is Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope, book 2 in the Chronicles of Barsetshire. I read The Warden this year, so now I want to reread Barchester Towers, having read the first book in the series so that it will actually make sense. Yay! And then the idea will be to continue on with one book from the series per year, or maybe not, depending on if I just get too excited and end up reading all of them. A lot of Victorian literature. So let's move into the 9 other classics, which means it's not Victorian. First up, we have Howard's End by E.M. Forster. I borrowed this from my mother recently, and I want to be able to give it back to her, so, I should read it. I think that I'm really gonna love this. She loved it. I loved the other Forster book I've read, A Room with a View. And once I read this, then I want to watch the BBC miniseries, which my mom also said was really good. Moving over to America, we have The Custom of the Country by Edith Wharton. I've read 3 Edith Wharton books, and it's been a mixed journey. I'm hoping to really like this one, and then maybe continue on with more of her stuff, because I do have Ethan Frome still. And then who knows from there. Another gorgeous Persephone edition, The Priory by Dorothy Whipple. This is 20th century British classic. That I came highly recommended by Alana Estelle. One that I technically have a physical copy, but it's in my giant Norton anthology of Shakespeare, and I don't want to hold it up because I'm lazy. This is As You Like It by William Shakespeare, which I will be reading for Shake-Tember. Another one that I do not have yet, but that I am getting for Christmas, and I know I am getting for Christmas because my husband used my Amazon account last night to order it. And by used my Amazon account told me, hey, can you get on the computer and order those books that you wanted? So it's coming in 5 volumes, but it is all one book. And this is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. I am getting a bilingual edition that has the French on one page and then the English translation on the next. So obviously it's ginormous, and they have broken it down into the 5 volumes that Les Mis is made up of anyway. I will be participating in Katie from Books and Things read-along of Les Miserables, and I am very excited but very nervous to try reading this in French because it's long. But of course, if I'm like, wow, no, the French is too hard, I can just read the English translation and it's fine. So I'm really excited to get to this. It's one of my 40 classics to read before 40. So I'm glad that I'm like getting it checked off this year. My book for Jane Austen July, or one of the many books I'll be reading in Jane Austen July, is Jane Austen's Selected Letters, which I have in this Oxford's World Classics edition. And I'm very excited to read these. I've like read pieces of her letters before, but not like any really in full, just like pieces that people quote in biographies. Back over to America briefly, very briefly. It's mostly British. We have Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. So I've had these 2 books by Toni Morrison on my shelves for literally ages and haven't read them because I kept being like, well, I should read Beloved first, but I don't own Beloved. Beloved is on my 40 classics by 40. But I was like, you know what? Just read the book you have, you you idiot. So we are gonna go with Song of Solomon. I really knew nothing about this, and there is no summary on the back. It's just a picture of her looking lovely and then some quotes from various magazines. So I don't know what it's about, but we'll find out. Another 20th century British book, The Golden Notebook by Doris Lessing. I just got this for my birthday and I'm very excited for it. And ending off with one from the very beginning of the 19th century, we have Castle Rackrent by Maria Edgeworth. I'm so excited to read another Edgeworth book, and also it's so short. We are now moving into the 8 fantasy books. So first up is one by a favorite author of mine. This is The Outlaws of Sherwood by Robin McKinley. This is actually the last Robin McKinley book that I own that I haven't read. There are others that I don't own yet, but I don't want to buy any more by her until I have, read what I have. This is a retelling of Robin Hood, as I'm sure you can tell by the by the title. And I don't really know much about it. And I'm trying to think if any of my friends who are McKinley fans have read it, but I don't know. I don't remember anyone saying anything about it, but I'm sure it'll be good because her books are always good. Next up is All That Consumes by Erica Waters. This is a young adult dark academia fantasy, and I'm not sure that I'm gonna like it because young adult dark academia has traditionally not been my favorite always, but we're gonna find out. I think I asked for this for Christmas several years ago, but I mean, the little catchphrase here, art is long, life is short, sounds really interesting. I don't even really remember what it's about though. And I'm not reading summaries in this because we'll be here forever, but we'll see what happens. Another dark academia fantasy. This is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. This is the first book in the Scholomance series. I have had this on my shelf for a really long time, and I'm like, just read it so that if you don't like it, you can trade it in and get store credit because it's a nice hardcover and it'll get you store credit. But I have liked the other 2 books that I read by Novik. I read Uprooted and Spinning Silver and really loved them, so I'm hoping to like this. A fairy tale retelling, we have Ice by Sarah Beth Durst. This is a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon, one of my favorite fairy tales. One of my new acquisitions this year is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Look at this, it's this beautiful special edition. It's just got gorgeous everything. Look at the end papers. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I have really liked everything I've read by Kuang. Babel was my favorite book of the year it came out, which I think was 2022. And then Catabasis, which came out this year, is currently on my list of top books. I won't say where, but I mean, it could still get knocked off. Who the hell knows? But I'm expecting to really enjoy this. Another new acquisition and actually a new release this year, Holy Terrors by Margaret Owen. This is the 3rd and final book in the Little Thieves trilogy. Another new release that I got this year, A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. This is the sequel to A Study in Drowning, which I really loved. And finally, we have Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I read Ninth House, the first book, this year and really loved it. So we'll be continuing on with the series and hoping that nothing bad happens to any bunnies, considering the cover of this book. Don't kill any bunnies, Leigh Bardugo. I can't deal with it. All right, now we move into the 8 other fiction. So it's not a classic and it's not fantasy. First up is Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This book I bought in like 2021. Is that when it? No, it might have even been before that. I bought it in 2020 when it came out. And my husband, Steven, was with me when I bought it. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. We weren't married at this point. We didn't even live together. And I bought it at a bookstore. And literally every time I buy a book since, he's been like, did you read that book that you bought that one time we went to that bookstore? And I have to be like, no. So we're gonna read it so that I can be like, yes, I have actually, ha. Next up we have Rouge by Mona Awad. I read Bunny a few years ago and liked it, and like have kind of come to like it even more after reading it and like just thinking about it. So I'm really interested to check this out, and my understanding is that it kind of plays with the fairy tale of Snow White a bit, so that's always a fun thing. Another new acquisition, this is The House of Whispers by Laura Purcell, who I really like. I've read 2 books by her before, and she's just really good historical fiction Gothic writer. One that I've had sitting around for a while, The Guinevere's by Sarah Dommett. I don't really know anything about this. I think I bought it because it sounded interesting to me, but I have no idea if I'm actually gonna like it or not. So I was like, just read it. Read your books. Elizabeth, read your books. The Maidens by Alex Michaelides? Is that how that's pronounced? So I bought this because it's like a dark academia kind of thing. And then I heard horrible things about it and then never read it. So I'm like, girl, read your books. And then if you don't like it, store credit. That's kind of a running theme throughout some of these. It's like, girl, read your books and then get store credit for them if you don't like them. One that I really know nothing about, a friend gave it to me. He was like, I just have this and you might like it, so. This is Less by Andrew Sean Greer. It won the Pulitzer Prize, so I'm expecting it to be good. I literally know nothing about it, so. Another one I just bought this year but have been wanting to read for a while, Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff. I actually started this years ago on audiobook, but it was not the right time for an audiobook, and it was not the right book for an audiobook for me either. And then finally, we have a huge one. This is A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. This is kind of a modern classic of Indian literature, and it's giant, but I'm really excited for it because I've heard that it's so good. And even though it's giant, apparently the chapters are short, so that's good. All right, moving into the 5 nonfiction books. The first one is adjacent to the Elizabeth Gaskell project. I actually don't have it yet, but again, it's on the Christmas list with a star next to it. And this is Elizabeth Gaskell by Jenny Uglow. It is a biography. So what I really enjoyed for my George Eliot project, like right at the end of it, reading a biography of George Eliot. I found that like really useful. So I'm gonna do it again with the Elizabeth Gaskell project. Next up, one that I've had for a very long time, The Peabody Sisters by Megan Marshall. The subtitle, The Three Women Who Ignited American Romanticism. Megan Marshall wrote a favorite nonfiction of mine, a biography of Margaret Fuller. And I asked for this for, I believe, Christmas, like immediately after reading the Margaret Fuller one. And I started reading this, but then I think I was in my final year of undergrad and I got busy with grad school applications and stuff, maybe. I don't remember. Or just finals in general. And ending my undergrad years, I don't know. So I had to put it aside and I just never got back to it. But this is going to be the year I do. My Life in Middlemarch by Rebecca Mead. This is a memoir kind of centered around Mead's experience with the book Middlemarch by George Eliot, which I have now finally come to love after it being my nemesis for a very long time. So I'm very interested to read this. One that I bought with a Christmas gift card from last year. This is The Blue Stockings, A History of the First Women's Movement by Susanna Gibson. So throughout my 18th century project, I've done a little bit of nonfiction reading throughout this 18th century novel project, and some of the women that get mentioned occasionally are the Blue Stockings, particularly Elizabeth Montagu, who I know was mentioned in Romantic Outlaws because she was living at the same time as Mary Wollstonecraft. So I really wanted to read this, and also it's just a gorgeous book, oh my goodness. And then finally, my nonfiction read for Jane Austen July, which I got for my birthday, will be What Jane Austen's Characters Read and Why by Susan Allen Ford, which is pretty self-explanatory. But I'm really looking forward to this because I, just did this 18th century novel project, and a lot of the books that are mentioned in Jane Austen's books are 18th century because, you know, she was writing in the early 19th century. And also, I read Jane Austen's Bookshelf by Rebecca Romney, which was talking about the books that influenced Jane Austen by women writers. So I'm sure that some of those are going to get mentioned in here too. So it's just going to be like a nice continuation of some stuff that I started this year. All right, we are on our last category. And that is poetry with 3 books. So the first one is The Complete Poems of Anne Sexton. I've read 3 collections of Anne Sexton poems now and generally enjoyed them. So I'm looking forward to reading everything by her, including rereading those 3 collections that I've already read. We then have Rainbow Remnants in Rock Bottom Ghetto Sky by Thalias Moss? I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce her first name. But these have been selected by Charles Simic, who is a poet that I am familiar with. And also, Moss graduated from the MFA program at the school I just graduated from. So that's always very interesting to see like people that came from, not exactly my program, because obviously I did the PhD in literature, not an MFA, but still. And then finally, one that I got in a Goodreads giveaway, and that is actually an advanced reader copy and is coming out in March of next year. This is A Suit or a Suitcase by Maggie Smith. Not that Maggie Smith. Yeah, this comes out on March 31st of 2026, so I'll probably read it in March and then write a review for my blog and stuff. But yeah, I'm interested to check this out. I don't know anything about Maggie Smith, but it looks like the kind of poetry I like, so that is my reading goals and plans for 2026. Let me know down in the comments. Have you read any of these? What did you think of them? What are you going to be reading in 2026? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.